I said, this should be in a book, but it will be in the movie, I guarantee you.
I know I don't want to ruin the upcoming movie or TV series that this will be, but when you trimmed it down, how much heartbreak was there in saying, gosh, we have 400 million stories and we got to cut it down to this many? Joe, what was it like for you and my authors? What was it like trimming down your baby?
It was very, very tough. We had a book signing August the 6th at the Heinz History Center, which is a big museum in Pittsburgh. Over 500 people came, which was unbelievable since I've been out of business for close to 20 years. But I sent some invitations out, and a buddy of mine from the Greenfield section of the city, I grew up in the East End, and the prima donna was in the West End of the city. And the buddy of mine I grew up with, his wife called and said they were coming, and I said, Maureen, Freddie's in the book. She says, you're kidding me. I said, no, that story, that he told me about, he worked at the Edgar Thompson plant, which, U.S. Steel, and it's still going today. Andrew Carnegie actually started it, and it's still going today. And the superintendent wanted me to get him in. They didn't have to wait. That's another story in itself. So I had read the original book, with the 450 pages, and he was in it, and then they had a hustle for a deadline. So I can't see too good. I didn't really see the final touches. So I said, Freddie's in the book, and the superintendent and the whole 9 yards. And a buddy of mine read the book, and he said, Joe, Freddie's not in the book. I said, he has to be in the book. I read it, and he wasn't. So I really felt bad. And I found the actual writing. Maria and Ruthie sent me the 450 pages one time, and I found it. I got it copied, and I sent it to him. I said, this should be in a book, but it will be in the movie, I guarantee you. And the superintendent, I got him in. We treated him like royalty. He actually called Freddie in the office. There's 3,000 guys working in a plant. Freddie's the supervisor. He's a superintendent of the whole thing. And he went in and he told Freddie that eating at the Prima Donna was like a religious experience to me. Your buddy treated us so well. And the guy actually started to choke up, Freddie said, and almost cried because of how he was treated. And he said, thank you, Joe. I said, don't thank me. Thanks, Freddie. So I give Freddie all the accolations there,
That's beautiful. Ruthie, Maria.
It wasn't in the book.
Well, trimming wise, for the two of you, what was it like? Was it easy to be the writer aspect, or was it hard to be cutting away at this guy's life story?
It was so hard, and we did a lot of fact checking when we wrote. So we called people just to make sure, because memories are so unreliable. That's a big lesson. Every one of us is an unreliable narrator. So we talked to people who were in the original book, and they expected to be more than just the story that Joe told. And on top of that, you try to end the chapter on sort of a cliffhanger when you can. We didn't do a dry biography. We tried to make it engaging. And so when you take out a story, that changes the number of pages in the chapter. It changes the pace of the book. And that was a terrible editing challenge.
Maria, what was that like for you as the author and the daughter?
So I'll talk about this in a little bit of a flipped element, because originally the book was written partially in my voice and partially in my dad's voice. In my voice, because the story starts in 1986, and I was very, very young at that time, my voice, it started chronologically for me in my 20s and flashback. And for my dad, it started really from the beginning and flash forward. And it was confusing, and it didn't work for what it was, but pretty much everything that I wrote and all that I put my heart and soul into, it was all cut from the book. So what that means to me is that now I have another book project that I'm working on. But, in that too, I will echo what my father and Ruthie said. It was hard because everybody did have a significant piece to the prima donna puzzle, whether they were a customer or somebody that worked there. But whenever you're telling a story, and it's a little different with television or a series, sometimes if you have just so many characters, it's just very confusing for the reader. And so even though some people really were very much deserving of having their ink on the pages, and, we certainly do feel bad. And we even, Ruthie even addressed the entire staff at the Heinz History Center about this. We couldn't include everybody because that's what keeps the story engaging. The short chapters ending on a cliffhanger, the really good, punchy kind of stories. And unfortunately, if two characters were serving the exact same purpose, probably one got picked and one didn't. Or if just the character didn't stand out as much to the reader in one way or another, they probably did not get picked. But a lot of those decisions were not originally, yes, we did have to make some tough choices, but the final choices were really up to our publisher and up to that editor, and what was going to move the story forward. And I think that that's what our beta readers kept on telling us too, is if the story doesn't drive, if the narrative is not driven forward by this story, it can be a really good standalone story, just like the one that my dad told, but it doesn't necessarily belong in the book at that particular time. So it was hard. It's still hard. I still feel bad. I wish I could include everybody.
Tell us where we can find the book. Tell us where we can go next. Tell us how we can follow you, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Tell us all the ways we can keep in touch with this story.
Absolutely. So the book is really wherever books are sold. So we're on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, Walmart, Target. We're also at most bookstores. So, but if we're not, most bookstores can order us. We are through Ingram and Idlewies and all of the other major catalogs. As far as keeping in touch, all of the social media for Facebook and Instagram, for me, is the handle at Joe Costanzo. That's JoeCostanzo, Prima Donna, PrimaDonna. And I'm also on LinkedIn and Twitter. I think I'm Maria C. Palmer. But if you just go on to mariacpalmer.com, that's all of my information.
I wanted to mention the Heinz History Center has been such a great partner with us, and they have signed copies. We've all signed copies. So if you order from there, you get the signed copies.